We're reading the papers, tracking the smartest columnists and bloggers, monitoring TV, you name it. We are always on the hunt for the smart take. And back with us, of course, Rachel, Gene, Chuck, and Joe. Our first smart take is Vegas-style advice from Real Clear Politics' John McIntyre. He gives 3 reasons to bet on Hillary. Quote, 1, Senator Obama's problem in regard to his long-term time pastor is a real issue. The surfacing of the incendiary videos makes this an explosive subject that will not go quietly away. 2, the very serious meltdown in the financial markets is likely to focus the country's attention on the health, stability, and future of the American economy. Fairly or unfairly, Senator Clinton will benefit from her association with Bill Clinton's administration in the prosperous 90s. And 3, the mostly unnoticed switch of Puerto Rico from a caucus on June 7 to a primary on June 1 gives Hillary Clinton a very real opportunity to surpass Barack Obama in the popular vote count. Chuck Todd, what do you make?
I tell you, it is a media obsession that keeps this seeming like a 50-50 race, because the problem with this, and I agree with a lot of those things that John lays out in there, the problem is that Hillary Clinton's trying to woo superdelegates. These superdelegates are going to have a hard time somehow voting to overturn the first African-American nominee in the Democratic Party. They're also going to have a hard time being convinced that somehow a Clinton-led Democratic Party is going to be better for them than Obama-led Democratic Party. Why? Look at the Clinton record in the 90s when it comes to being leader of the Democratic Party. Not president, leader of the Democratic Party. They lost control of Congress. They lost seats every time Bill Clinton was at the top of the ticket. So I think Hillary Clinton's going to have a harder political argument to make to these superdelegates. We know we've talked about pledged delegates, we've talked about popular vote, but she actually has to get these superdelegates to somehow switch. And the fact that a majority of them aren't already with her, I think tells you that there's a lot more hesitance with these folks to go back to the Clinton-led days of the Democratic Party.
Rachel, what about the other point about Senator Clinton trying to own the economy as an issue? Is that something that she has to make a pivot on and say, you want the 90s again? You stick with me.
Well, she's been uncomfortable making that point because the other half of the time she's been saying, my husband isn't on the ticket, you need to take me on my merit. So it's a little bit of a delicate dance for her to do there. But I think the association in voters' minds is there. Barack Obama does need to make a big stink on the economy. He needs to show subject matter mastery. That's a place that John McCain is vulnerable. It's a place where he could hit John McCain effectively. He's already started to do that a little bit by taking on McCain's flip-flopping about the Bush tax cuts. Obama has a real opportunity to step up and make himself known on the economy, but I think that analysis is right, that Clinton starts with the advantage there. Morning, Joe. Is this a smart take overall?
Well, no, actually, it's not. It's not a smart take that Hillary Clinton is smart money because, as I learn every morning from Chuck Todd, they're just the numbers are on Barack Obama's side, and the fact you've got to look to Puerto Rico and say, boy, now that Puerto Rico's been moved up, this is really going to swing the Clintons' way. It doesn't ring true to me. This is still Barack Obama's race to lose, and chances are good. Anything that happens, whether it's in Iraq or with the economy, it may hurt Barack Obama if there's a crisis, but it's going to hurt him in the general election.
Okay, Gene Robinson, you're on deck here. I want to give you my next smart take here, an excerpt from Matt Bai's article in Sunday's New York Times Magazine. Quote, this is, by the way, about politics of race in this campaign. Here's a quote. Obama wins in major urban areas but can't seem to win in urbanized states, while Clinton wins in rural communities but consistently loses in rural states. The disparity between Obama's performance in urban primaries and rural caucuses tells us something larger and counterintuitive about race in America. Obama does best in areas that have either a large concentration of African-American voters or hardly any at all. But he struggles in places where the population is decidedly mixed. What do you make of it, Gene?
Well, that could be a smart take. It certainly is counterintuitive. What it is now, I think, is an attempt to draw lines between various data points, the data points we have from the exit polls of the primaries, and make sense of it. I'm not sure it coheres as a political theory of America in the 21st century. I think you can find counterexamples, maybe not in this presidential contest, but in municipal and state contests that would indicate the opposite, that places where blacks and whites live closely together and perhaps there's a history there are not necessarily places where there's more racial polarization. But we'll see. Let's see where we end up by the end of the primary season.